The only way I know of finding it is to drill.
Right now in Scurry County, Texas, a producing company is getting ready to do just that, drill a well. They're moving their rig into a territory where they know oil has already been found, but that's no guarantee that this particular well will come in. They still have to gamble equipment, supplies, men, and time just on the chance of striking oil. Today, as men drill deeper and deeper to find the porous, oil-filled rock, a single well can cost up to $1 million. In the oil fields, some wells flow by themselves. Others have to be pumped. In many oil-producing states, each well produces under a field quota called an allowable, which is set by state authorities. Such scientific conservation methods mean progress, and nobody knows it better than the state conservation man who works with the oil companies.
That's right. You know, in the old days, sometimes as much as 2/3 of the crude they might have gotten was left underground. Taking out oil as fast as possible is inefficient and wasteful. Around here, you'll find wells 20 and 30 years old being reworked and oil being recovered. But in some places, the stuff's lost forever. Measuring and checking as I do every day, you don't find such waste going on now. In many modern fields, recycling plants process a lot of the natural gas that used to be wasted. These days, the gas goes through all this fancy equipment, and out of it comes chemicals, which are used in making cloth and paint and plastics and I don't know what all. If that's not progress, what is? Well, time to eat.
It's mealtime in the air, too. The airline passengers settling lunch trays in their laps can look down on the very farms that feed them. Farming has changed more in the last 50 years than it did in the previous 1,000. A farmer today can work 5 times the land his father worked and still have time for leisure that his father never knew. The petroleum that runs these modern hired hands has not confined progress in farming to the fields. Life is easier for the farm wife, too. For one thing, her woodpile is a thing of the past. To do her cooking and heating today, she can have liquefied petroleum gas delivered to the house by a local dealer. Petroleum does still other jobs that farmers would once have thought were miracles. Petroleum derivatives kill insects and plant diseases, speed the ripening of fruit, and preserve it on the way to market. Today, a farmer can fight the odds of nature instead of giving in to them. Each hour of the day, our oil-thirsty nation demands over 10 million gallons of petroleum products. Between these and the raw material from which they come, there has to be a factory. The refinery is that factory. Just a few decades ago, a refinery was a primitive still, making only kerosene. Today, some of these great plants employ thousands of people. To many an American community, their establishment and growth has meant new economic life. Listen.
My job is painting, keeping the outside of all these pipes and columns in good shape. I used to live here before the refinery was built. Hunted rabbits in the brush where those alkylation units are now. There wasn't much doing over in town then. A lot of folks were even fixing to move out. But then the company moved in and set up this refinery. That gave new life to the town, new jobs. It meant a lot. Now almost every family has someone in the oil business. You know, every day a lot of oil products move out of here. All the time I'm at work, there's one jobber's truck after another coming in to get filled up.
One of the biggest carriers of both crude oil and refined products is the modern tanker, which with speed and economy can deliver its cargo to any port in the 7 seas where it may be needed. The oil industry's own Navy is a vital factor in the security of our nation. This tanker sailing westward tonight from San Pedro, California, is carrying in her side and center tanks aviation gasoline, jet fuel, and diesel fuel. Some 5 million gallons in all. While the tanker is loading in California, a barge filled with home fuel oil has just left a refinery in Louisiana and is heading slowly upriver for the docks of an independent distributor. And at the same time, in the port of New York, the SS America is taking on over 800,000 gallons of bunker fuel. Since petroleum provides the power for both our ships of peace and for our ships of war, oil power means sea power for our nation. Power for the sea is also power for the land. More than any other country in the world, America is a nation on wheels. The automobile and the power behind it have been major factors in the growth of our country. We can drive anywhere we want to, at any time, for any reason, including fun. Out of the city into the country, down to the sea if we're inland, to the mountains if we live on the coast. To meet the demands of our over 36 million cars, oil canning plants also work around the clock. Altogether, we drive our cars 1 billion miles a day. It seems no other people in the world want so much just to get going when they have a little time. Maybe it's just that no other people can get going so easily. Every hour of the day finds oil men trying to make petroleum do more for us. The oil scientists and research laboratories are pace setters in the race of progress, working with products still unnamed and some that are still unthought of. With each new development of our inventive age, be it peaceful or otherwise, the petroleum industry is faced with a host of new problems. Our thousands of competing oil companies invest over $100 million every year in research. Each company's objective is the same: discover a new product, perfect it, and put it in production before the others do. They start with competition. What they create is progress. With the switch to another brand of gasoline, or with the purchase of a new detergent made from an oil byproduct, a company has lost a customer. Another company has gained a customer. It's as simple as that. What it comes down to is that the oil industry has to please Mrs. Martin and millions just like her. Already today, she's used some 87 petroleum products. including the plastic bacon wrapper and the wax of the milk carton. She'll top 100 before the day is over. Mrs. Martin is the customer, and the customer is the boss of the
Of all things Americans are, we are makers. With our strengths and our minds and spirit, we gather, we form, and we fashion. Makers and shapers and put-it-togetherers. We start young, finding out early in life what it's like to feel something grow and take shape beneath our hands. We start young and we stay young, modeling with careful pride the things we expect to endure for ourselves and for others. We build for use, and we build in fun, joining eyes and hands and brains into knowing teams that bring great dreams to life. We build for the day, and we build for the morrow, for our children, for their children, and for the future of America. Look to the land and look to the sea. Wherever you may look in this world, you're apt to find something that got there because some American found a good way to put it together. A longer, higher bridge across a wider span of water. A slender missile driven into space, reaching across the oceans and reaching for other worlds. As makers of today and shapers for tomorrow, we Americans seem to share an inborn understanding of how to go about making the things we want. Whether we're reaching for the moon, hobbying in the home, doing our part on a convenience to be enjoyed, or preparing a tasty tidbit, we're all of us makers. All of our different ways of making to the differing tastes of others are not all so very different after all. We make by moving materials, getting what we need in the right place to work with it. We make by removing material, getting rid of what isn't needed. We make by shaping, just so. We make by adding material to material. We make by combining. And then by applying our finishing touches. And by testing and testing again to make sure what is finished meets with our own approval and earns the customer's liking for what is done. With our craftsmanship and our conscientious control, we build for utility and for eye appeal and for satisfaction at every step of the way. That's the way we make things. Make them right and make them to the user's satisfaction. With youthful enthusiasm, we make things with pride. And into whatever we make, we try to model a satisfying usefulness and some measure of beauty. Oncoming, attractive, useful products, well made. More and more products acceptable to the more and more exacting demands of more and more Americans. All in our own personal choices of colors, models, sizes, styles, price ranges, and types. Better made, more dependable, more nearly trouble-free than products made in any such quantities anywhere else in the world. All a part of the beauty produced so bountifully for you and for me by our American makers. There was a time when many of our needs had to be imported from other countries. But now, American needs can be filled by Americans. American desires met by Products American. Made the American way and by Makers American. The American maker works for tomorrow as well as today, and he has a host of new products in store for us. Some of them ready for immediate viewing. Some of them are visible in the nearer distance, while others yet remain a dream of the future, but all of them on their way to us. Oncoming, attractive, useful products. Automatic highways with cars and buses that drive themselves. Compact new cars. Battery-powered transistorized TV that is really portable. Panel TV to hang on the wall like a picture. All these and more and more. We Americans have always been makers, and in the beginning, we had to be. When America was young, we learned how to make the things we needed because there was no other way to get them. We worked with our hands, and our hands served us well. At the blacksmith's forge and the potter's wheel, we learned honest craftsmanship. At the spinning wheel and the loom, we studied patience. And the greatest patience most of us learned was the patience to see to it that what we were making was good. Then, looking again to make sure what we had made would serve, and serve well. In early America, men with the skills to do the things that needed doing were few in number. Craftsmen we had, but each could make only enough for his own family and for perhaps a few of his neighbors. We had little, but we knew much of want, of shortages, of make do or do without, of even the necessities. There wasn't enough to go around. As our numbers increased and our wants multiplied, easier, quicker, better ways of doing things had to be found. Young we were, youngest in the family of nations, when a Yankee craftsman named Eli Whitney showed us how to do something about it, something that never in all the world had been done before. Already a famous man as inventor of the labor-saving cotton gin, Eli Whitney had been given a contract by Congress to produce 10,000 muskets. Now his time was almost up.
Mr. Whitney, we gave you a contract for 10,000 finished pieces. What do you mean by bringing us all these bits and parts?
Gentlemen, I am offering you something far more valuable than muskets. I am offering my country a new method of producing on a mass scale. You see, it takes years to train a workman to produce a completed article from start to finish. But it takes only a few days to train him to do a single part of the job. The solution, gentlemen, is to divide the labor. Divide and specialize. One man to make one part, one to make another. Each to do what each can do best.
Ridiculous. Impossible. Parts made by different people will never fit together.
They will, sir. They will. If each part is made exactly like every other.
Each of these pieces are made by a separate man.
Exactly.
Eli Whitney didn't have a word for it, but we call it interchangeability. Interchangeability of parts. A Yankee craftsman had laid down the basic principle of modern mass production. Divide and specialize. One man to make one part, one to make another. Each to do what each can do best. A new method of dividing the labor to let the American maker work more quickly and efficiently, meet the ever-increasing demand for more goods, producing on a scale the world never before had known. The seed of mass production had been planted. But even so, we still had far to go before we could begin to reap the harvest. Our tools were simple, and for power we had only our own muscles, or the force of falling water, and maybe a turn from the wind. And then, the next great forward stride for the American maker came with the coming of a new source of mighty power. Unlimited new power to multiply thousands of times the productive energy of every man and create a revolution in the tools to be used. Tools to extend the power and fineness of his hands. High-speed tools to turn, to bore, to drill, to mill. Tools to plane, to shape, to slot, to grind, to forge, to form with an accuracy and a precision impossible to the finest of handcraft. Tools that hold the work you're working on. Tools that hold the tool you're working with. With all the wonderful tools that have been invented to help the American maker get more from his day's work and more for it, every bigger, better, and faster tool has given new abilities to the man who uses it, advancing from simple hand tools to great electric-driven complex machines. As more and more of us join American teams, there are more and more others of us who are investing hard-earned savings to help buy the newer and better and bigger tools we now need. To supply the conveniences for modern living, the products we create and build grow ever more complex. Today's automobile, for example, may call for as many as 14,000 parts. And each part must be as precise as thousands of pairs of hands and eyes and thousands of human brains can make it, if the final product is to be just about trouble-free. No one plant or single factory can make all the many kinds of parts. It takes thousands of separate suppliers. And in every supplier plant, each man and woman must work with a feeling of responsibility toward the eventual owner of what it is he's helping to make. On the conscientious contributions of every single one of them depend the success and reliability of what is made by others and the satisfaction of all the others who use them. The fundamental freedom of America is our freedom of choice. All of us want our choices in whatever we buy. Our personal choices of color, of model, of trim, of engine, transmission, or steering, as well as of radios, of heaters, air conditioning, accessories, and a host of other special options for convenience, safety, comfort,